Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, students. Thank you very much for your patience. As I told you, students, we will catch up the class. You don't worry, the time difference. But thanks for your time, students. Okay. So, students, today let's start with the mock exam. I will do the question. You don't worry, don't panic, students. I will do the question. Okay, students. You can see the question. I will do the question for you. So, students, what I want you is to get through this question. So can you please put a Y in the chat box if you can see the question, students, and the white sheet that is there, so that I can work with you. So let's work on a mock question today, so that you will get the understanding how you can think accordingly to the business situation. Thank you very much, students. Now, coming into today's class, what I want to initially suggest you is the turning table. So if you see in the table, we have the following skill, technical, and then we have the business, then we have the people, and the final one is the leadership skill. Now, students, if you observe, the operational level case study is purely a technical based examination. So I will teach you the writing style, and you need to go through the study text, students. It's very, very important that you need to go through the study text and improve the methodologies of thinking, so that it will be even easier for you to do the paper very successfully. So students, what we will do now is, let's start doing this question. So it's ready for us. Let's start doing this question. So students, now I will just guide you with the planning process as well. Yesterday we had a discussion what is subtask. Now in this question we have how many subtasks. Can you observe the question? Don't read the question. Can you observe the question, and can you please put in the chat box how many subtasks we have in this question? Can you just please check and see how many subtasks we have in this question, students? How many subtasks we have in this question? Can you please check and let me know, students, how many subtasks we have in this question? Excellent. It is 3 subtasks. Thank you very much. Now, students, you add the total. 36 plus 40 is 76. 76 plus 24 is 100. So if you effectively add the total, it is coming to 100. If you effectively add the total, it is coming to 100. So I believe, students, that is very clear for you. The totaling up is coming to 100 at the moment. So students, if you are fine with that totaling up coming to 100, can I quickly get a Y in the chat box, students? If you are fine with that totaling up coming to 100, can I quickly get a Y in the chat box? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, now you have received a mail from the finance director. So in the future, students, you need to know the name of your finance director. For OCS, it's not a compulsion, but for the betterment, remember the character's name. So students, if you observe, we had our department. So finance director is Emily Quida. So I will write down here that Emily Quida has sent you a mail. So I'll just use the name here, Emily Quida. So students, I believe that is fine for you. So if it is fine for you, can I quickly get a Y in the chat box, students? Emily Queda, is it fine for you? So can I quickly get a Y in the chat box? Thank you very much, students. Thank you very much. You have received the mail. So hi, please can kind enough to send to understand that we are planning to expand to the Westland, a European country. Get that point of view, students? The business proposal is expansion. So the business proposal here is what, students? Expansion to Westland. So get that point of view. So your answers are becoming very much connected to the framework. So students, they are saying a European country which has the same culture as Kalen. So one thing, students, it's European country. So European country means, students, business wise is almost same rules and regulation. So it's a European country, get that point of view very clearly. And also, students, if you be very specific here, after this, you need to be very clear that culture, they're saying the culture difference is also not different, because it's almost like the same. Now, students, if you have followed marketing promotions. You see, right, students, advertisements in South India, they don't use actors from Bollywood. For the northern region, they use Bollywood actors. So you need to understand that culture factor plays a major role, students. If you have seen, there is actor called Allu Arjun coming from Tollywood. So his advertisements are very popular in the south. But if you see a person like Ranveer Singh, his advertisements are popular in the north. So culture plays always a major role, students, because wherever you go, you need to adjust towards the local culture. That is very much an important thing that we need to understand. So they are stating here, students, the management is more concerned about transitioning the budget, since in the past we have done formal budgeting and the management needs to know whether participative budget will be feasible. So budgeting is what, students? Budgeting is a technical area and they are asking about participative budget. What budget are they asking, students? Participative budget. Students, I believe this gives you a better picture here. Budgeting and participative budget. Students, if you do not mind, can I quickly get a Y in the chat box if you get that point of view very clearly? Because students, they are not asking you to prepare a budget, they are asking you to explain the budget. So budgeting, participative budgeting is a technical aspect, but the blending answer should have the not only just writing down what is there in the participative budgeting, it should have a connection towards the business, and also, students, it should have again another connection towards the people as well. So get this understanding properly, students. So it is critically important at the end of the day. So students, I want to make sure that is clear for you in that side. So if you're fine with that, I believe you have got the little bit of understanding. Please draft a memo explaining the advantages and disadvantages of participative budget, and it will be more suitable for this expansion. So the question requirement of A is specifically on the advantages and the disadvantages of participative budget, and will it be more suitable for the expansion. Now, students, you need to understand the percentage here is 36%. The percentage here is 36%. So you need to do a small planning. So the total marks for a question in the OCS is 25 marks. 25 marks if you multiplied by 36%. Students, quickly tell me what is the answer you are getting. Please use the calculator, students. 25% into 60%. Use your calculator, please. A fast response answer is required. Can you please tell me, students, what is the answer you are getting here? 25, 36%, waiting for your answers. So is it, oh, what is this, students? 25, 36%. 36%. 36% is 9 marks. So I'll write down here, students, 9 marks. 9 marks, you divide it by 2. So 2 means it should have 4.5, right? 4.5. So I'll guide you how. So there needs to be 4 headings. So can we write 2 advantages? We can write 2 advantages, and we can also write 2 disadvantages, 2 advantages, 2 disadvantages, and the appropriate suggestion, and the appropriate suggestion, and the appropriate suggestion. So that can be your conclusion. So students, if you get that application there, can I quickly get a Y in the chat box, students? If you get that application there, can I quickly get a Y in the chat box, students? Now, students, if you do not mind, can you write this down? Can you write this down, students? Before you start doing the answer, just get what you need to write first. Because students, when we practice the mocks, now today we are on the 5th. So we will do beam drawing mocks for a longer period of time. So my suggestion here is, students, when you do this, try to make sure that you are able to get that application properly, students. You are able to get that application properly so that your answer quality, the answer quantity, everything will be even stronger, students. So if you do not mind, can you please write this down? so that it will be very clear for you, students. If you are fine with that, can you please write this down so that it will be very clear for you in that point of view? So please take that down, and please, again, students, your thinking aspect should go in these two, the appropriateness. Now you are giving that final 1 mark, right, or the 0.5. That is leadership skill. Now you do the appraisal and then you make a decision. That is the leadership skill. So students, I believe this gives you a better understanding of how the company works, how the company manages. So you take it down first so that it will be even easier for you to do the application more in detail, and it will be more easier for you to score the marks more in detail. So please write it down. Please make sure that it is clear for you. So please take that down, students. It is very, 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 very important. Very, 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 very important. Once you have taken it down, you can please put Y in the chat box, students. We will do this question smoothly and steadily so that you will be able to get that application out. Thank you very much, students. Okay, now students, let's do a brainstorming. Now students, can you tell me the advantages of participative budget, advantages of participative budget? Can you please tell me what is the advantages of participative budget? You just studied this. Participative budget means we generally ask the top people and the bottom people to work together and participate. What is the advantages, students? If you do not mind, can you please tell me, students? What do you think, students, is the advantages of this? I'm getting the answers. Participative budget. Benefits, correct. Benefits of this, please. What are the benefits of this? Can you tell me, students? Advantages, benefits, all are same. Now, students, if you see, there are two types of budgeting, as you know. One is known as the top-down budget, which is the formal budget. Budget will be more realistic and accurate. Thank you very much. That's a good point. Combination of different minds gives different option. Excellent. Increases job satisfaction. Very good. Correct answer. So thank you very much for that involvement there. So students, in the advantages of participative budget, the first thing what we can write down is, students, I can write down bottom up approach. Bottom up approach, more realistic forecast. More realistic forecast. Again, students, I'm not telling that the quality of your English needs to be extremely perfect. If it is with the point, you are completely safe. Generally, the participative budget is a bottom up approach, is a bottom up approach, is a bottom up approach, where the company generally be able to get the views from the line managers and the lower level staffs who are very close to the business, who are very close to the business, So students, I believe that has a good point there. So what I will do, technically we have written that point. So I will try to connect it so that it will be more easier. The stores managers, in Red Cushy, will have access to direct consumer feedback, and people will always share their personal experience. Students, are you getting that point of view, students? I believe this is giving you a better point of view there, students. Is it clear for you, students? I believe it is very much clear for you. So I will continue with the next sentence so that it will be even more easier and clear for you. Further, the shoe industry has always been exposed to the trend factor, where the management needs to have a clear understanding. So I'll continue, students. Therefore, the store managers needs to take the responsibility on determining the sales budget, which is critically important, Students, I believe this is giving you a better understanding. Further, since the cost budget can be delegated to the factory managers at the Cushy plant, since they have more idea of the raw materials and other products. Students, are you clear with this? Yes or no? If you are clear with this, can I quickly get a Y in the chat box, students? I am waiting for your response, students. If it is clear for you, can I quickly get a Y in the chat box, students? Because students, you will improve. Don't worry, students. You will improve. You will critically improve your skills, but get to know this one. The most important thing is this one, students, this breakdown. Because generally students fail because they don't know the breakdown. They write and go without knowing what they are scoring. So one is that. Then the other one is, students, you can write down, like you told, high level of motivation, and sense of involvement and ownership. Students, understand it very clearly, students. Sense of involvement and ownership. So if you do not mind, students, shall we start working on this? Of course, we can start working on this. It's not so complicated, students. It's a very simple and an easy one. So let's start doing the analysis of this so that it is not difficult for you. So a high level of motivation and sense of involvement and ownership. The participative budget generally provides ownership, to the employees who are involving in the process. This facilitates team spirits. This facilitates team spirit. And also the goal congruence. Team spirit and the goal congruence. Just keep that in mind, students. This is critically important, students. So the next thing what I want to write down so that it will be even more easier for you to get the understanding. The participative budget can result in new ideas to the management, where they can identify the future successor. Can you remember, students, we do not have succession plan. Future successor for the management internally, and also the collaboration makes the business even stronger, and improves the reality, and the loyalty and the loyalty towards the business, and the loyalty towards the business, or I can say loyalty towards the business by the employees. So students, this gives a better idea how it works out, students. So this is one major way of writing. So this can increase your creativity, everything. So these are the advantages of a participative budget. Now, students, if you do not mind, can we work on the disadvantages? So is it possible for you to give an answer of disadvantages? Disadvantages, students, disadvantages of participative budgeting. So let's use the chat box, and then you can give the disadvantages of participative budgeting, students. Disadvantages of participative budgeting. Students, I am waiting for your response. Disadvantages of participative budgeting. Disadvantages of participative budgeting. Let's see the answers what you are producing. Unstructured budget, excellent. Very good. Any other point of view, students? Any other point of view? It can go into an unstructured, time consuming, fine. What about lack of experience, students? Now, if you see the people who doesn't have financial knowledge coming to do budgeting, yes, they can do it very well, but time consuming due to their lack of experience, lack of maturity, and budget slack is a very good point. That is generally takes place when the people are overestimating the budget just to make sure that they are safe. Low level of budget, that is the budget slack. What was Ujwal was telling, it was the correct way. Thank you, Deepansh. Every answer is correct now. So students, if you do not mind, shall we start writing down here? Yes, we can start writing down here. So it's not a difficult thing. So I will write down here. The first thing I can generally say, lack of experience resulting in unstructured budget, lack of experience resulting in unstructured budget. Students, get this understanding as much as possible. What you told was 100% correct, students. What you told was 100% correct. It's not wrong. So let's start writing the point of view here. Generally, the members in the participative budget may have lack of experience, lack of what, students? Experience. Therefore, most of the presentation and the assumptions may be unstructured. Maybe what, students? May be unstructured. Keep that in mind. Therefore, this can cause some decision making problem. This can cause some decision making problem. So students, what we can do is I will just connect a point of view so that it will be very easy for you to understand the application. So if I write down here Cushy generally has 20 retail outlets, in different locations. Therefore, the sales may be different. I believe this is completely clear for you. The sales may be different. This is mainly because the company may have different regional segmentation. Get that point of view very clearly, students. Now, the next thing I just want to say here, that I'll write down here, the managers in each division may have their personal opinion. their personal opinion, and they may not support the business decision. The business decision. Get that point of view very clearly, students. The managers in each decision may have their personal opinion and they may not support the business decision. This will end up in a situation where the company makes wrong decision due to dysfunctional behavior. Students, there is a verb called dysfunctional behavior. That means people are only bothered about themselves, affecting the goal congruence, I believe this is giving you a better understanding of how the things are generally working in a business perspective, students. So the next thing is I can write down is, I can say, time consuming, as you told, time consuming and cause a slack in budget, can cause a slack in budget. Time consuming and can cause a slack in the budget. So students, get this understanding very clearly and very neatly. Time consuming and causes slack in the budget. Actually, this is true, students. I will continue the explanation so that it will be very clear. The arrangement that has been made by the management may take time to get into conclusions. Therefore, there can be situations where the company needs to be aware about the slacks that is created by the managers for their own convenience. Example, they may set up a lower sales target so that they can achieve it easily. So that is one main problem, students. Achieve it very easily. So that will be a very challenging situation for them. Achieve it very easily, students. Get that application very clearly. So I will come into the business application so that it will be very much easier for you. Considering the business situation, we need to understand that in this case, it is possible for a slack. Since Cushy is growing rapidly, because there is a high level of rapid growth, which may not be very much welcome by some managers, very much appreciated by some managers, because they need to work, right, students? Appreciated by some managers. So get that understanding very clearly there, students. So I believe this is giving you a better understanding there. Yes or no, students? I believe this is giving you a better understanding there. So any questions in this, you can ask me, students. So this is how the time consumption goes out. So the next thing, I will just write it down. So I'll write down here appropriateness. So I'll just make down a small sentence for you, appropriateness. So I can say the participative budget is appropriate. The participative budget is appropriate for the expansion. Being very open, students, yes, it is appropriate for the expansion, but we need to make sure that the company will be able to make some internal audit also, some internal audit as well, some internal audit as well in order to proceed successfully. Are you getting this point of view? In order to proceed successfully, get this point of view very clearly, students. This is the basic answer for this question. So any questions you do have, you can ask me, students. If you're fine with this, can I quickly get a Y in the chat box, students? If you're fine with this, can I quickly get a Y in the chat box? So this is a full answer that we have developed at the moment for the budgeting one. So just remember, students, this examination, you can pass it with the FLP portal, whatever you have. So I'm sure that you will pass this examination. It's a very easy, students, and now you are getting the connection points very, very well. How to connect your answer. Connecting your answer plays a major role at the end of the day. So students, before we go into the next question, we will go for a small break, students. We can go for a 5 minutes break before we go to the next question. I'll give you around 7 minutes break, students. Hi students, I'm back to the class. Can I quickly get a Y in the chat box, please? Students, can I quickly get a Y in the chat box? Thank you very much. Thank you very much, students. Students, now coming into this one, we have done a time series analysis. Now, students, this time series regression you would have already studied in BA2, that is management accounting. Now, in this case studies, they won't ask you to do a bigger calculation of time series or regression analysis. That is the first thing you need to keep in mind. Please refer the reference material 1. Okay, please refer the reference where you have need your assistance on the interpretation of the table. So there is a table given. So we need to do a small interpretation of that. And then students, they're saying, please, can you draft a response on the limitation of time series? So if you see students, now let's do the planning. So they have given a regression analysis table. So this is the section, I can say the subsection in simple language, subsection. So 25 marks, 25 marks into 40%, 25 marks into 40%. Students, if you do not mind, can you tell me? I believe that's coming to 10 marks, if I'm not mistaken. So I divide it by 2, that gives you 5, effectively 5 paras. Okay, or 5 main points evaluated generally. Okay, now in sometimes in the exam day you can't get the correct answer. That's completely all right, students. And the other one, 25%, 25 marks multiplied by 24%. So I believe this time, students, this will give you somewhere around 6 marks. So 6 marks means just a 3 para. That's the ideology there. So students, if you are clear with this, let's write down here. I'll write down something: interpretation of time series and regression analysis. Interpretation of time series and regression analysis. So students, if you do not mind, let's start working on the interpretation of time series and regression analysis. So students, I'll give you an example. So time series is generally, students, it's a trend analysis. We generally say trend analysis. What we do is, students, we develop a linear equation. We develop a linear equation by plotting our trend. So it is equal to y equals a plus bx. So students, y is the dependent variant, a is the intercept, the cutting axis, b is what, students? B is the gradient and x is the variable. Okay, so students, now get the understanding. We can do this in order to find the semi-variable cost. Can you remember, students, if you are mistaken? So a is the fixed cost, which is cutting the axis. B is the variable cost. X is the number of units. So you can get the total semi-variable cost plotted as well. So this is basically a linear development. Additive analysis, we generally say. We just do it on a straight line basis, basically assuming a number. So students, any questions on time series and regression, you can ask me before I show the table below, students. Before I show you the table below, any questions you have, you can ask me, students. Any questions you have, you can ask me. If you are fine with that, can I quickly show the table below so that we can start working on the interpretation role? Students, can I quickly get a Y in the chat box if you are fine, so that I will show the table also. So this is just a forecasting technique, students. You don't worry about this. So if you see here, this is the time series. So students, if you see, they have developed a linear equation. So here, students, you see Q1, the actual sales volume is 1,889. But if you see, the trend analysis is showing 2,108. So if you see Y is now 2,108, means trend 2,000 plus 108, okay, A plus 108. X is the quarter number. Now here it's first quarter. So it's 1. Second quarter, it's going to be 2. Third quarter, 3. Fourth quarter, 4. This is 2018's first quarter, but overall 5th, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So students just want to make sure, are you clear with this? If you don't mind, students, you can just take your time. You can just insert the numbers and see the trend of the pencil, you can get it. And I wanted to say, students, this question I copied from a past paper just to make you the analysis right. So I have to say the numbers were also same so that you need not compare later and come back to me. But I want the learning outcome here very strong. So students, if you do not mind, can you just go through that so that it will give you a better clearance and the idea, students. Now, students, again, the table number 3 shows you the average seasonal variation. 209, 155 to 924, 409. That is the 4 months divided by 4. So students, that's how they get the seasonal variation for the periods. Two nine, 254, and then 293. I think number 1, 209, 254, 293. They divide it by 2. So Westland is a country where the high level of growth, and also they are specifically stating, also has a greater priority for the health services. So students, now can you compare this and see? Can you compare this and see with our business analysis? Now, when is our season in a year? Can you tell me when is our season in a year? When does our seasons take place? If you do not mind, can you tell me? Generally, when are our shoe seasons are? One is from which students? October to December. Then we have April to June, correct? April to June. Now, students, you observe it very carefully. The second quarter, April to June, is always a good season. Do you get the point of view here, students? April to June, the second quarter. Quarter means January, February, March, one quarter. Okay, so students, can I get some interaction if possible, if you are following the class? Get this understanding, students, get this understanding. So if you see, the second quarter is almost having a very strong relationship between the other country. Are you clear with that, students? Yes or no? But students, if you observe the last quarter, that is the problem, students. You see the last quarter, it's completely going away, right, students? Now, generally, this quarter is getting affected. Do you observe it, students? Yes or no? Compared with the trend analysis, this quarter gets affected. Students, am I audible? I'm not getting any response from you all. Are you there in the class, students? Just want to get the understanding. Thank you. Thank you very much, students. Thank you very much, students. Thank you very much. So don't worry about this. This is just an introduction of how the exam paper questions will be. So this is a basic idea, student. So as a finance officer, you can say this trend analysis is showing correctly for the quarter 2. But when it comes to the quarter 4, I don't think so, because you see there is a deviation and here it's good. So we need to take responsibility on why they do not have enough sales. So students, example, we generally launch the product 210. That means the product launch takes place in the month of March. The product launch takes place also in the month of what, students? If I'm not mistaken, September, if I'm not mistaken. So that, students, it goes forward. So my question in this case is, in this country, with the data what we have, is it okay to launch the product 2 times, or is it better to launch the product once? That is my best question for you all, students. Are you understanding what I'm saying there, students? Yes or no? So that is very, very important, students, on making decisions based on data. Making decisions based on data. Okay, students, now coming here, so I'll write down here table 1. So I will, this question I'm just doing it, students. It's, you need not get the perfection in this, because this is just a understanding based question. So table 1, I can generally say the trend analysis, the trend analysis has been estimated, based on the product details, based on the product details, based on the product details, based on the product details that has been given, that has been given. Now, students, coming into the detailed application so that it will be even more clearer for you. So the main challenge is the business has used a linear equation. The business has used the linear equation, and it is going on an addition mode, that is addictive. You see here, students, addition: 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. So it's an addition, so that only we say as addictive. It's addictive. Or someone is multiplication based, is also there, but at the moment we are going with the additive basis. We are just adding and going, students. The main constraint of this model, is the trend can change anytime, depending on the external situations, example I can specifically say, students, on external situation. It will be very easy. External situation, example like a new sports event, a new development of shoes, a new development of shoes by the competitors. Students, there can be situation of new development of shoes by the competitors as well. Students, are you getting this understanding there, students? Therefore, the trend analysis is having some variation, on the time series, So that is the first table analysis, students. So students, coming to the table 2, now again, students, we don't know how did they arrive at 2000 shoes, how did they arrive at 108. So I'll write down here table 2. The linear equation that has been developed needs to be properly analyzed, if I'm not mistaken, needs to be properly analyzed, so that the company will be able to provide a better outcome in a logical method. So get that point of view very clearly, students. A better outcome in a logical method, and as per the company rules, as per the company policies, they generally adjust the standards. They generally adjust the standards on a continuous basis. So this has been ignored. What, students? Ignored at the moment. So I believe this has given you a better insight of this. And students, table 3, the seasonal variation. So I'll write on here, the seasonal variation cannot be 100% accurate, cannot be 100% accurate, since it has only the numbers in average. So I believe this is giving a better understanding for you students. Get the point of view as much as possible, because it has only the numbers in average and ignores other non-financial factors such as such as such as increase in the awareness of recycling shoes, increase in the awareness of recycling shoes, eco-friendly shoes. So students, these are daily becoming a need for the people, eco-friendly shoes. So this is a basic understanding here. And further and further and further and further, the growth of, I can say, the growth of Westland has been completely ignored, Students, get that point of view has been completely ignored. Students, get the understanding properly. Completely ignored. Get that understanding properly. It has been completely ignored since the technical analysis does not have the amendments. It does not have the amendments. So students, this is a basic writing of the tables. I know you would have found it little tough, but that's okay, students, because I want you to dive into the water so that you get in the understanding very clearly. So any questions here you have, you can ask me, students. If you are fine with all these things, students, can I quickly get a Y in the chat box? Can I quickly get a Y in the chat box if you are fine with these explanation factors? Thank you very much, students. Thank you very much. So students, coming into the last one, we will finish that as well. So the last one in this case is going to be what?
17 बच्चे हैं, 17 में से एक कनेक्शन तो मेरा वहां खुला हुआ है.
The last one is, can you draft a response on limitation of time series? Yes. So I'll write down here, students, limitations of time series. So let's start working on this. It's not so complicated. So the first thing I can say, the time series are technically strong model. The time series are technically strong model. Get that point of view very clearly, students. But there can be situation, the analysis will not be accurate, since it does not take into consideration the current challenges. Example, now I can use this example. In case of a COVID pandemic, the trend analysis would have not supported. I believe, students, this is giving you a better understanding and a better clarity at the moment. So any questions you have, you can ask me, students. If you're fine with this, can I quickly get a Y in the chat box, students? And then I can say the time series only considers a linear relationship. Linear relationship means, students, it's only going up. There is nothing like that. But there can be situations. Of economic recessions. There can be situations of what, students? Economic recessions, which may affect the business. Are you getting what I'm saying, students? Which may affect the business, and which may not be a success for the company, not be a success for the company. Are you understanding the application of this very clearly, students? Thank you very much. So students, today the budgeting question is something that you need to be more concerned. You need to not ignore everything, but time series you can just go and refer it, students. The additive model and the multiplication model. And this I took it from the Lotte graphite question. I amended it, but I just want to make sure that are you clear with these, students? so that it will be very easy for you to move forward. If you are clear with that, can I quickly get a Y in the chat box, students? If you are clear with that, can I quickly get a Y in the chat box? Thank you very much, students. Thank you very much. So don't worry, students, everything is under control. So let's go for a question and answer session for today. Slowly, we will increase the mock quantities as well, students. Slowly, we will increase the mock quantities as well. So shall we go for the question and answer session? Students, if you have any questions for the day, you can ask me. If you are fine with this, students, can I quickly get a Y in the chat box? If you are fine with this, can I quickly get a Y in the chat box, students? Thank you. Thank you very much. So students, just remember how to break down the answers. The past papers are already there in our portal, students. You can go through that as well. So students, thank you very much for your wonderful involvement for today's class. And thank you very much for adjusting for the time schedule. And just remember, students, even if I finish the class early, don't stop going home. Just read through the articles, go through the FLP, go through the past papers, go through the past examiners' answers, get the understanding, students. So thank you very much, students, for your cooperation for today. So I will meet you tomorrow, students. Have a wonderful evening. Stay safe, go home safe, students. See you all, students. You can leave.